I once made a video on the ranking of the combat effectiveness of the affiliated fighters in Kengan Ashura on my previous channel. The quality of the video at that time was pretty rough, but it still got the attention of many viewers, both good and bad. So this time, I will re-rank the fighters again based on the comments below the video, as well as the contents of kenganomega. The ranking rules are still based on the ranking from the S tier to the F tier like the last time, but with a display of the specific points on screen. Many fighters change their combat effectiveness during a match. This change may be negative, such as injuries, or maybe it can be positive, like retrieving past memories from a flashback and making one's fighting power stronger. In any case, in this video, I will assume that every fighter can perform at their best. Only the 32 affiliated fighters from the Kengan Ashura manga will appear this time. Those fighters that debuted in Fist of the Seeker, Dumbbell Girls, and Kenganomega will not be included. In order to ensure the correctness of the data, all wins and losses will be used as evaluation materials for combat effectiveness rather than results. For example, Imai Cosmo being able to defeat Akoya Seishu, a large part of this victory comes from luck and a side character buff. Although some people have said that luck is a skill itself, for this ranking, all the elements of luck will be reduced as much as possible. The evaluation criteria are divided into 6 aspects: power, resistance, techniques, experience, endurance, and balance. Power simply refers to the strength of each fighter. In the real world, power and weight are the most important when fighting. Otherwise, why would boxing matches categorize weight classes? However, the importance of strength in the Kengan world has been reduced. To be precise, everybody's body resistance has been improved. Under normal circumstances, humans taking a blow to the noses, chins, and temples would be knocked out. In order to increase the observability and unpredictability of the matches, the status of resistance in the Kengan world has been improved. If power refers to the attack value in a game, then resistance is the defense and HP value. Compared with power and resistance, techniques are more complicated. In the Kengan world, techniques can be divided into 4 categories: blows, throws, locks, and holds. For example, Okubo Naoya and Fang are all-around fighters, mastering these 4 techniques. Imai Cosmo has exerted holds to the limit, and Gaolang Wantawat has exerted blows to the limit. Some techniques can even increase the power and resistance of fighters, such as Oma's Nico style. When these techniques are exerted to the limit, they can create an ultimate secret technique, which is pretty much the ultimate move in the game. In the Kengan tournament, there was the strongest attack, the Wild Tiger's Blast Core, the most unpredictable attack, the Fang's Dragon Shot, the strongest counterattack, the Ashura's Demon's Bane, and so on and so forth. Regardless of the level of skill, there will be restraints between them. Fang used Okubo's techniques to defeat Gaolang, but this does not mean that Gaolang would lose if he fought Okubo. Technique has become the most unstable factor besides luck in the Kengan world, and it is also one of the reasons why the power rankings in the Kengan Ashura manga are still being debated over after many years of its completion. Even so, when 2 humans' power and techniques are similar, it is the experience that determines the outcome. For most viewers, the experience of the affiliated fighters is immeasurable. It is not a game, and there will be no username or level on the character's head. Therefore, this so-called experience actually refers to prediction, or in Kaneda's words, it's foresight. Foresight ability is called initiative in Japanese Kendo. This initiative is roughly divided into 3 levels. Pulse initiative, which is countering your opponent after they move. Most fighters aren't able to reach this level. The more advanced level is counter initiative, which is discerning the moment your opponent will start moving and striking first by moving at the same time. To reach this level, one requires a fast reaction speed and accumulation of combat experience. In my opinion, Gaolang can reach this level. In the Battle of Fang, he attacked several times at once and hit his opponent 1 step ahead of time. Akoya having an ultra-fast reaction speed of 74 milliseconds, and Kaneda relying on the experience he has seen before to ensure the timing of his opponent's attack. However, his body is too weak to exert this ability fully. Cosmo also learned this ability from Kaneda. However, it is much weaker than Kaneda's foresight. In addition to these 3 obvious performances, Cosmo, Okuba, Oma, and Hatsumi have all used similar abilities, but there's not enough evidence to support whether they happen to be true or not, except for Oma. Because 2 years later, he learned something more advanced than counter-initiative, which is pre-initiative. That is, relying on some subtle changes in the body before their opponent attacks to perceive the opponent's following attacking method. In the Kengan tournament, only Fang and Kurugi Gensai mastered this ability. By the way, Setsuna can forcefully increase his reaction speed when using Fallen Demon, but it is estimated that it will not reach the level of pre-initiative. These are the 4 most essential scoring standards for combat effectiveness in Kengan Ashura, and the remaining 2, endurance and balance, are actually added only to make up the hexagon. Endurance refers to the fighting time of a fighter. Most fighters have very high endurance values. Some special physiques can increase the original strength and speed of the body while consuming endurance or vitality, such as Ryan's removal and Oma's advance. Balance, on the other hand, means a fighter's combat stability, whether the other 5 indicators can be matched well. For example, Kaneda and Chiba have good techniques and experience, but their power and resistance cannot fully utilize their advantages. In this case, the balance is low. These are the rules of the entire ranking list. I'll try to eliminate luck and popularity factors as much as possible, and simply show the ranking of the strength of those affiliated fighters. Unlike the previous ranking, this time I will introduce them from the weakest to the strongest. The first, Nezu Masami, also known as the Man from the Land of Dreams, is 221 centimeters tall and weighs 111 kilograms. He may not be the weakest one, but he must be the one with the least performance among the 32 fighters. Other than his cosplay that will be worn by Disney for copyright, and his birthday, which happens to be on January 1st, there is no more valuable information. Kengan's Fang, Purgatory's Roland, and Bishamon's Nezu, respectively, represent the strongest among the 3 underground martial arts industries. As the former champion of Bishamon, Nezu is not as strong as the previous 2. This doesn't mean that he's weak, but he was too unfortunate and met Rei in the first round. Although Rei is not the top in the Kengan tournament, he must be the fastest. If any fighters want to fight with Rei, they must have either superb resistance or possess pre-initiative, and Nezu has neither of them, which resulted in him being defeated instantly. The reason why Nezu can become the former champion of Bishamon depended on his physical flexibility and technique. He can fit a body over 2 meters tall into a doll suit. The only technique he has shown is the electrical blow, an uppercut style that can easily split his Maki helmet into 2 halves. Therefore, it may be a bit unfair. Regardless, F tier. Next is Kaneda Sugichi, who just reminded me of around the 30 Detective Conan videos that were copyrighted. His epithet is the Giant Killer, is 170 centimeters tall, and weighs 73 kilograms. I actually quite like this character. That spirit of trying to defeat the strong by the weak is just like the protagonists of Shonen Jump. When he was young, his physique was not even as good as that of ordinary people, which made him full of expectations for being strong, and he began to train his body. It took him 3 years to barely bench press 80 kilograms and learn the Kujin style, a classical Japanese martial art. This kind of martial art is specially used to deal with warriors wearing armor through trips and throws, making them lose their balance and use their weapons to deliver a fatal blow. This technique lacks effective strikes, and it is challenging to use the lock technique on those affiliated fighters on the Kengan stage, especially for smaller people like Kaneda, who are less resistant to strikes. So, he started to learn another technique, which is the foresight mentioned before, analyzing the opponent's actions to know in advance what the opponent's next move is. During the Battle of Gaolong, he even approached pre-initiative and predicted his opponent's next 10 moves. If his strength and resistance were to reach this level, then he should be able to rise to the A tier. Now, he barely entered the Kengan tournament after using a lot of painkillers. By the way, the author said that Humero Ryo's strength is similar to that of Cosmo, with the strength to enter the top 16. In Kengan Omega, it can be seen that his strength after 2 years is very close to that of Akoya Seshu. Kaneda was only able to defeat him purely because Humero did not regard him as an opponent at the beginning of the battle, but as a good friend of the boss. So, he didn't use all his strength, as well as the painkiller drugs Kaneda took to increase his resistance against blows. This gave him enough time to get used to the opponent's fighting style and use foresight to defeat him. In the Battle of Gaolan, Kaneda can use foresight, equivalent to the pre-initiative level, because he has seen numerous Gaolan matches before. If you have an affiliated fighter who is entirely unfamiliar to him, and this opponent uses their full strength from the beginning, then Kaneda has almost no chance of winning, so F tier. For the Giant Killer, there is a kind of opponent that is very troublesome, those fighters who do not have a fixed fighting style. Chiba Takayuki is such a contender, being 179 centimeters tall, weighing 85 kilograms, and his epithet being the Faceless Man. Like his epithet, Chiba is an actor who is good at acting, without a fixed image and body shape. When he debuted, he appeared as an old man, and then became an adult male, which made me think that his physical flexibility was higher than that of Nezu Masami's. And his ability, Apex of Acting, Copy, allows him to spend 2 hours practicing and copying other people's styles after watching a particular fighter's fighting method, such as Gaolong's boxing style or Okubo's tackle technique. He is even able to copy late fighters, such as Andrews Philho and Bruce Lee. The superb physical flexibility and the complicated techniques that Foresight needs more time to analyze are equivalent to the existence of natural enemies for the 2 fighters of the F tier. However, compared with the other 29, Chiba is considered weaker. It is impossible to copy other people's unique physique. All the copy techniques cannot perform to the same degree as the original owners, and all the techniques are proportional to his own strength. In particular, his resistance and experience were not enough to support his technique, as Hatomi's triple strike easily defeated him. To sum up, E tier. Not everyone is qualified to be the protagonist of Fate. Before introducing the last affiliated fighter of this video, I believe that the viewer has noticed that these weaker characters have good techniques and are not very resistant to blows. They may believe that the physical quality in Kengan is higher than that of techniques. Although this is indeed true, physical power, techniques, and experience are all very important in Kengan. Without any of them, it is impossible to leave a high record on this ranking. Just like Meguro Masaki, with a height of 195 centimeters and a weight of 130 kilograms, his epithet is the Crying Man. His body was initially different from normal humans and had a strong resistance to pain. After some modifications, his brain would secrete endorphins according to the pain, thus feeling the ultimate pleasure, which dramatically improves his body's resistance to shocks. His martial arts style is a combination of judo and a strong grip, which can knock opponents out without grabbing the clothing. The superbly fast speed also provides him with the opportunity to sneak attacks on opponents. In terms of strength alone, Meguro is E tier, and Sawada suppressed him in a private battle without injury. But in terms of the degree of danger, he can rise to the B tier. If you want to defeat him, you must have the consciousness of killing to win. Meguro's opponent, Muteba, is also a more powerful one among the 32 fighters. Without clothing, all the techniques are created based on killing, which can be said to be Meguro's natural enemy. However, Meguro can also temporarily suppress opponents. This kind of one-time fighter who doesn't defend is eager for pain, and all matches are pretty much an eye for an eye. Even if they win the first round, they will eventually lose because of the substantial injuries. It is only a matter of time, so he became the only one dead among the 32 fighters. Because of time constraints, only the rules and affiliated fighters from the F tier to the E tier are introduced this time, and the next one is on the fighters from the E tier to the D tier. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below, and I'll see you all later.